Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you very much, Jens, for the chance, for the possibility to make a presentation about research, which is already 2 years gone away, but it's nonetheless very interesting, I think. And I must say, I will take you back to the first wave. John and Edith mentioned it or named it to the first wave, because my presentation will be very, very data-driven, I would say. I will show you empirical findings about surveys among students of social work. And I decided to include also a survey with about 230 practitioners of social work, because I think for our discussion, it's quite interesting too. Okay, I will make this introduction very short, because I would say all of you are very familiar with that, with the global definition of social work, which emphasizes political activities to change and development social justice and to promote social change. And you will find that also in the declaration of the DGSA, of the German Federation of Social Workers, I think, which is also very interesting as an actor in the field of policy practice, also in the education. Also, I would say you are very familiar with the current state of research, with the theories and the conceptual frameworks. I would name it, first mention the civic volunteerism model, very established to explain political activities on a general level. I would say on the civic route especially. And then we heard about the policy practice engagement model of Edith and John Weisgall, articulated and described in very different publications. From this policy practice engagement model, I would say we have 3 levels. We have on the individual level, here see the motivation, I would say individual factors of a social worker, of a social work student. Then we have what Edith and John call facilitation, the organizational culture and the kind of organization the social workers are engaged. And then the opportunity on the macro level, I would say the political institutions and the political framework, which is also very different from country to country, as different publications show. What is the plan? The plan is to take these frameworks, the political participation, and the civic volunteerism model and the organizational and culture context to explain the exercise and the political participation, and also what is in Germany very interesting and very popular is the question whether there is a mandate of social work, whether social work, the profession, has a political mandate at all or not. And there's also very interesting what Miriam Burzlaff told about the side of the universities in the education of social workers, and what is discussed in the in the literature about the profession in Germany and what the DBSH says to this topic. We have a current state of research, very good overviews in Pritzker-Lane and in Weisgall 2017. And some of these findings are that social workers are more politically involved than the general public. Age, professional experience, and social work in the civil service correlate with political participation. The field of social work, whether you are working in macro or in micro social work, is also very interesting. And macro social workers, community workers, are politically more active. Members of unions and professional associations are more active, as Rita had shown. Politically interested and politically efficacious social workers are more involved. That corresponds with the general findings of the civic volunteerism model. And what is also corresponding to the civic volunteerism model is that general factors like resources, time, money, skills, political, internal and external political efficacy, for example, can explain a lot of variation in the political activities of social workers. And one question for the research was a question whether these findings can be confirmed in Germany too. And we had to say, a student of mine on the master level of social work made a survey an online survey among social workers, because in Germany was no much empirical evidence about political activities. Therefore, it was very interesting in one of the first empirical studies about about political activities of social workers. You have bear in mind the institutional context with a very corporatist system, for example, that makes a difference. And with the corporatist system, which is very different from the situation, for example, Jason, in the United States. Therefore, a lot of political activities are taken over not by political social workers in their political engagement, but by great organizations with a church background, for example, or Arbeiterwohlfahrt and other organizations in the corporatist welfare system. Then we made a questionnaire with socio-demographic variables, political interest, political efficacy, and so on, and got an N from a number of surveys from questionnaires, online questionnaires of 235, and we contacted the social workers about, I must say, about Facebook groups. And therefore, of course, we have a selection bias, because we have to assume that the people which are organized in Facebook groups like social work or Netzwerk Soziale Arbeit are more engaged and are more politically interested than the mean social worker in Germany. These are the descriptive statistics. Mean age was 34 years. And what is interesting as field of social work is that nearly 10%, 8.9% were working in the community work. The political interest, the first hint, the political interest was very strong. 73.8% of the social workers said their political interest is very strong. And with the same item for the general German public, we have only 36.2, who say they are very interested, or their interest is very strong. Therefore, a first hint that we could say that the social workers in Germany are in general more have a more stronger political interest. Then we took an very good established instrument item out of 11 institutionalized and non-institutionalized activities. We made an index out of that, and we made linear and logistic regressions about the political activities and about the support of a political mandate in Germany. So I will show you in the findings, the central findings of this survey. We made a linear regression of the index of general political participation. And we could not make any decision about the civic route or about the professional route, because it was not in the items used with these well-established items, and therefore we could not make any difference, because this relates especially to the civic route of political engagement. And on the right side of the slide, you see the coefficients of the linear regression, and we would say the findings. I have to move here so it's better for me. Yeah, okay. I would say in the end, the findings partially fit the civic volunteerism model, but not with political efficacy. And we found that age is very relevant. The older the respondents were, the more they were active and politically engaged. As we all know, political interest is with a standard beta of 0.407 is very high and has a very high power to explain the political activity. It's the factor which is the greatest with power to explain political activity. The more the respondents are interested in politics, the more they are active. What I find very interesting in this context about education at universities, is that the remembrance of political context also plays a big part in the explanation of general political participation. We had 3 and more items and asked respondents whether they had in mind some contents about politics in their education, in their studies at university. And the better the remembrance were of these contents, the more they were active in the political field. And what is also very important is the membership in a professional association, social capital. We'll see it with the students. Social capital plays a bigger role in the part of political activity and general political participation. Okay, that was the political participation. Then we asked the practitioners in our survey whether they would say they were working according to a political mandate. And here you see the empirical results of a logistic regression, which explains whether they were working in their self-estimation and whether they were working according to a political mandate or not. And you see that also the remembrance of political contents is not significant. Significant are the guiding principles, whether there are something like guidelines, there are some light builder or so with a political context and with a political content. This is a factor of the facilitation of the culture of the organization. A major part of the explanation whether the respondents say they are working according to a political mandate or not are the field of social work. As you see here, they are working in community work, in Germany in Gemeinwesen Arbeit. They say to a higher part, and it's very significant, they are working according to a political mandate. In this field of social work, they feel, they see, they are working according to political mandate. They are working more direct with clients, for example, in clinical social work, or if they are working with families, they don't say that they are working to a political mandate. That means that we have some fields of social work, and I think we must not only differentiate the different levels of an organization, but also the kind or the field of social work the organization or the social workers is engaged. And in the end, we would say, if you take a look at the whole model, it's that what you see here is only part of the statistical model, that the organizational variables have a higher power to explain the self-estimation working according to a political mandate or not than the individual variables. That means the facilitation factors are very important. Then we asked the social workers if, what are the causes why are working or not working according to a political mandate. And those of them who said they are working according to a political mandate, 80%, 79.9 said it was my mandate as a social worker. Nearly 50% say it's a part of my job, and 69% said it's important for me personally. It's a kind of my personality, and I cannot other than engage politically and to define my work as political social work. Of those who were not working according to political mandates, that it's very important. They say they have no time for that. I don't feel competent, say 40%, and 16% say I would annoy my employer. That means that also factors of facilitation of the organization culture are very important to explain the attitude towards political mandate of social work. And then we asked in an open question, what do you say? What is meant by working according to a political mandate? And I think it's very interesting, the great variety of the understandings of the social workers, what they define, what they have in mind if asked according to a political mandate. For example, community projects, community work, of course. Founding of a working group of youth policy, for example, networking, lobbying, of course. And what's my favorite is support blind people in taking part in elections. That's a very specific part of political social work and of defining your social work as political. It's very interesting. Then let me come to the other part of my presentation. That's about the social work students. Then we made an online survey, and we had a sample of about you see it here, 3,467 students in German universities. And we applied it also to some 6 Austrian universities. In Germany, it was more than 3,000 at all. And I will show you the results from the German universities. We made, as in the other questionnaire, we made an index, and we asked the political participation with a very established instrument. You see, for example, context to a politician is a very typical item for political engagement studies, worked in a political party, signed a petition, won or displayed a campaign badge sticker, or boycotted certain products. And in all of these fields, of political activity, the social work students were more active than the general population from Germany. We took data from the European Social Survey from 2016 with the population above 30 years to compare them with our students. And therefore you see a very strong political participation. And the next question is, what factors can explain this participation? And I think if we talk about students, and if we talk about political education, political situation of students, we must have in mind their very special situation between 20 and 30 to 23, 25 years old, where social contacts, participations does play a very important role. And what was very interesting for me, that the parents' education as general plays a big part in the explanation of political engagement and political participation. In this case, the parents' education played a significant role. The higher the mother's education, the more active the students were. Political interest is clear. Satisfaction with democracy is also very interesting for the political participation. The less they were satisfied with democracy, the more they were engaged. Then we have internal and external political efficacy, that's clear. What in the case of the student plays a major part is the internship. We noticed that the internship played a big role in the politicization process of the students. The confrontation, working with practical contexts played a rather role, and is very important, I would say, for all of our considerations about implementing policy practice in the studies and in the curricula. And what is also very important is the participation in organizations, especially in students' organizations.
Dieter, I don't want to be rude, but be aware of the time, please.
Okay, I will come to an end. That's
okay.
Thank you very much, Jens. Sorry. And on the other hand, we asked the students about their attitude to a political mandate, and then you have another model of explanations. What what plays a major role is the internship in this case. The participation in organizations, social capital is no more important, but political interest. Efficacy is of less important, but the political interest is very important. So in the end, I would say in the summary, we have the empirical findings so far from especially from the civic volunteerism model holds true. Social workers are in the end passive, but more active than the general population. Remembrance of political content in the studies and membership in a professional association play a major role in the explanation of political participations. And having in mind what they say about the facilitation, that more time and better competences would further policy practice on the job. And for the students, would say politicization of social work starts with the students. They are politically more active than the average of young people in Germany. They are politically rather left-wing. We could say that the civic volunteerism model only confirmed resources, motives, and networks explain participation with an emphasis on networks. And they have shown a very high commitment to political mandate of social work, and education and internships are very important. And I would, in the end, I would say most of our students of social work want to, and are asked to participate, and especially they are asked means the social capital, the social context, which is very important, I think, especially in the age group of our students. So that's the results from a very, very data-driven research, but I think it's quite interesting for Germany and to have an overview, empirical overview to the situation of students and social workers in Germany. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry for the time.